Well, hey, y'all, welcome to the GI Justin channel. I have a breaking subject to discuss with you guys that I think is one of the most reckless and dangerous things that we have seen in the world in a very, very long time. And it's one of these things that just add it to this list of shocking things coming out of the situation with Ukraine right now. So, basically, the president of Belarus, a guy named Alexander Lukashenko, has basically come out and said any nation who joins with them and Russia, basically in a union, will be given nuclear weapons. Just giving them tactical nuclear weapons. Anybody, they're just gonna willy nilly piecemeal hand out nuclear weapons to anyone who joins their side. That is, in my opinion, one of the most dangerous things that we've seen since the Second World War in terms of just outright madness. Um, and he basically, this guy, Alexander Lukashenko, is a very close friend of Vladimir Putin, and he made these comments on state-run Russian TV, where he basically comes out and says it's very simple. Join with us, and we will set you up with some nukes. He didn't put qualifiers on it whatsoever, and I think the thing that terrifies me there is that exact fact that they're just going to piecemeal out nukes to anybody who agrees to join their side. So he said that, no one minds a lot of these countries having relationships with the Soviet Union, with Russia. Like nobody cares that and China are friends with Russia, but the fact that Belarus is a problem for a bunch of people. And basically, he lays it out pretty plain. He said it is very simple. Join the United State of Belarus and Russia. That's all. Then there will be nuclear weapons for everyone. What the crap? Nuclear weapons for everyone? So, what if one of the countries that is diametrically opposed to the United States, what if Afghanistan? What if the Taliban says, hey, cool, we're in. Hit us with some nukes and we'll join against your fight against Ukraine. Then what? They're going to give nuclear weapons just to whoever agrees to get in with them. So there's part of the backing behind this, and why Belarus has kind of been in lockstep with Russia over the entire course of this war. In 1999, they signed basically an agreement creating a state of establishment between Belarus and Russia on a legal basis that was basically like a wide-ranging alliance, just saying, "Hey, Big Brother's got our back. They're going to protect us, and we are going to supply each other with economic, technological, agricultural, border security, basically everything that they possibly could agree on." And basically made a satellite state of Belarus from Russia. I think this comment is going to really heighten concerns across the world when it comes to Russia just saying, hey, yeah, anybody who's in, come get you some nukes. So this is beginning as Russia is transferring tactical nuclear weapons to Belarus following an agreement that they've signed. And they're basically saying it has nothing to do with the war in Ukraine. However, it seems very oddly timed to me that they are making this deal where Belarus is going to get nukes from Russia at the same time that they are saying, hey, anybody who's in, come get some nukes. We got you covered. So, furthermore, he also promised the safety of the nukes, saying, this is not even up for discussion. Don't worry about nuclear weapons. We're responsible for this. These are serious issues. Everything will be all right here. So Putin has kind of come across and said that any of the nuclear weapons that they're transferring to Belarus will remain under the control of Russian advisors, where these nukes aren't just going to go, piecemeal quietly out into the night, but they're actually going to keep track of them. And most likely it has a lot to do with the United States posting nuclear weapons in other countries other than the United States in the event of a nuclear exchange with Russia. So basically what they're doing is trying to decentralize the location of some of these nuclear weapons. But the problem is we have great security in place to protect our nuclear weapons. But with them posting these in Belarus and now saying, hey, join up with the team. We'll give you nukes. How are they going to be able to do that? Um, Belarus has had no nuclear weapons since it became a country following the fall of the Soviet Union. And it basically, most of its weapons are Soviet era technology. So they're kind of agreeing with whatever Big Brother wants right here so that the Russians will continue to protect them. Um, Along these same lines with Belarus and Russia, Vladimir Putin has come out several times saying things that are very problematic, I think, for the entire world. So in March, he came out saying Moscow will complete the construction of a special storage facility for tactical nuclear weapons in Belarus, and that Russia has already made transfer of several short-range intercontinental ballistic missiles and missiles which can carry either conventional or nuclear weapon warheads. So let's break that down a little bit further. So if you're not in the know already, tactical nuclear weapons are still nuclear. I mean, they are absolutely nuclear weapons. They're just much smaller and meant to be deployed in a limited battlefield use. Where, hey, if Russia and America are at war and Russia loses a massive battle and there's tons of American units concentrated in a small area, then they may employ a tactical battlefield nuke, which will not destroy the entire world and may not result in anybody else firing nuclear weapons, but will result in the total obliteration of anything within that much smaller area. The nuclear yield on tactical nukes are still large enough to destroy cities. I mean, we're not talking about baby bombs here. These things are still absolutely large enough to cause some severe radiation contamination, which I've got a video, if you haven't watched yet, about how to survive a nuclear attack. I'm going to post it up at the top. Halfway through, oddly enough, my audio just happens to cut out. I haven't heard back from anybody with YouTube about how that happened. However, it was a really good video, and I'm going to put it up there so you guys can get some tips on how to survive a nuclear attack in the possibility that you can. Because, the thing is, it's a really tough thing to do, survive a nuke. That there's a lot of facets to that are a serious problem. However, having no plan is the worst kind of plan. So that's why we talk about these things the way that we are. But yeah, so these tactical nukes have a smaller explosive yield, but still release radiation and are still full-fledged nuclear weapons. So by trading across these tactical nukes, this may be the forerunner to giving nukes to whoever signs on with Russia. So this discussion has had a massive ripple effect throughout the world from other world leaders, basically condemning this, saying, "Hey, are you guys crazy? Like, that is a ridiculous thing to do." So basically, the European Union, us as the United States, as well as opposition leaders in Belarus, have come out denouncing the entire situation. A U.S. State Department spokesman named Matthew Miller came out and said, "It is the latest example of irresponsible behavior that we have seen from Russia since its full-scale invasion of Ukraine over a year ago." Thus far, he says the U.S. hasn't changed its nuclear posture because there's no indications that they're preparing to use a nuke. They're just transferring them. European Union says basically this is a step which will lead to further extremely dangerous escalation. The Ukrainian presidential advisor, whose name I am not even going to try, basically said that Lukashenko's words directly indicate that the Russian Federation is deliberately killing the concept of global nuclear deterrence and burying the key global treaty on this non-proliferation of nuclear weapons, and that it fundamentally undermines the principles of global security. He went on to say there's only one solution: a tough stance on this nuclear state, relevant resolutions, extensive sanctions against Russia, and systemic financial sanctions against Belarus and ultimately Russia. So again, members from the opposition parties within Belarus basically have also slammed the agreement, saying we must do everything to prevent Putin's plan to deploy nuclear weapons in Belarus. It directly violates our constitutional non-nuclear status and would secure Russia's control over Belarus for years ahead. And it would further threaten the security of Ukraine and all of Europe. Analysts that are looking at this don't really have an answer just yet. They're still uncovering more of this information. And a national security expert said, "We don't yet know if it's physically started yet. We don't know if any weapons have left Russia, where they have been deployed, or how they're being deployed. But we are aware of their existence and the existence of the plan." So basically, everybody's saying this is a historic milestone and that there has not been a nuclear incident since the Cuban Missile Crisis of this magnitude for the world. Think about the implications of rogue nations, Iran, Afghanistan, North Korea, getting their hands on tactical nuclear weapons. You know, one of the things that is difficult about tactical nuclear weapons versus the larger intercontinental ballistic missiles is they are most often, not always, on mobile launchers. Thing about mobile launchers that is difficult, they can move. They can move around. You know, they can go where they're going to go, and you have to keep an eye on them. And doing that can become more problematic because they also can put themselves in a position where if they become aware that you are going to strike them, they may adopt a use it or lose it policy. Where if hypothetically, you know, Iran joins on and says, "Hey, we're in. We'd love to help. What can we do?" Israel would be most displeased with the transference of nuclear weapons and decide, "Hey, we're going to hit these nukes. We're not going to allow them to utilize them on us." They launch an airstrike. Iran sees the airstrike coming and decides they're going to go ahead and fire off these nukes as opposed to have them lost. And there we go. You know, the full possibility of nuclear war based on this activity. So I think it is absolutely reckless and irresponsible. I don't know how they're going to be able to justify doing this. And it doesn't really make any sense whatsoever in the first place. They don't need more people. I think they're just trying to rattle the cage, so to speak, and get the rest of the world to go, "Hey, okay, all righty, let's take the foot off the gas. We need to come to an agreement on getting this Ukraine situation solved." I think Putin may be running out of options, and he is just dipping his toe in the water in different pools to see what he can get a reaction from. And that's kind of what makes this, in my opinion, somewhat problematic. Because what happens if a bunch of countries come out and say, "Cool, we take you up on your word. Let's do this." Now they start handing out nuclear weapons. That half the reason why they've never been used since Hiroshima and Nagasaki is because everyone who has them knows well enough to know it's a deterrent, not a useful weapon. So it's troubling. Thank you guys so much for watching the channel. As always, I really enjoy the back and forth comments with y'all and discussing some ideas and some thoughts back and forth. So thank you guys for doing that. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, right here down in the corner, there's gonna be a little circle with a helicopter in it. Yours truly flying in Afghanistan. Thank you guys so much again for watching the channel and have an awesome day.